There is only one you, and you showed up to do what you're doing. So never play it small, because the world needs you, and they need you to give it all you got, because it was waiting for you.
Welcome to Off the Memory Card, the podcast where photographers talk about everything but taking photos, because photography is only 10% photos and 90% building a life and business you love. I'm Kathleen Burns. Let's dive in. Welcome to Off the Memory Card. I'm Kathleen, and if you are not busy, like you're not driving or editing, go ahead and lie on the couch because you are getting a free therapy session today. I have with me Miss Nakia Austin, and Nakia wears many hats. You are a counselor, therapist, public speaker, CEO and co-founder of the Healing House, which does amazing things. I feel like that really just scratches the surface. So before we really dive in, tell us a little bit more about you and what you do.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. The setup. I'm so glad to be here. I think you covered it all. I do wear a lot of hats, but everything I do is rooted in the therapy world and in trauma work. So to me, my number one goal is just to see people healed and live a happy and full life. So whether that's through therapy, coaching, inspirational speaking, consulting, wherever I can find myself in a space where I can help people, I want to be there.
I love that so much. And I actually reached out to you a couple of weeks ago at 3:00 in the morning. I was doom scrolling, and I'm just seeing negative comment after negative comment. And I'm just thinking, wow, this is really taking a toll on us as a society. And so I was like, I need to do an episode about this, but I really need someone who is in the healing space to kind of touch on it. So you were the first person I thought of. Messaged her at 3 a.m. I think I heard back from you by like 6 a.m, which made my heart so happy. And I even told you, I know you deal with a lot of really heavy things. Like you are helping women who have been through serious trauma. And so I said to you, I understand if you think this sounds kind of silly. And I loved your reaction. You were like, no, it's absolutely not. Let's touch on that a little bit and kind of why this is becoming such a big deal, the toxic comment sections.
Yeah. For me, the question that I ask people all the time, it's a silly question, but it's kind of a way for me to diffuse the situation, to break the ice. I'll lean in and say, who hurt you? Mm-hmm. Right? But I really do think that a lot of people carry a lot of hurt. And we all know the old saying that hurt people hurt people. And so I think we find this in a lot of different spaces. So whether it's in social media, whether it's in the grocery store, at the bank, it's just people are carrying a lot of unresolved trauma and hurt and pain. And so they don't know what to do with it. So my lashing out is less about you and more about me and what I have going on.
And that's a perfect transition, because I want to start with where this comes from in the first place, because I think before we can move on from the comments that are troubling us, we need to get to the root of it. Why are people acting like this in the first place?
Yes. And then besides people being hurt, is that we live in a society where the digital space has just exploded, right? Like I grew up, you played outside until the street lights came on, then you come inside. Just a very different time. And I think now with the explosion of technology and social media and all these different outlets, I think in some ways it's emboldened people to do and say things that they would not necessarily normally do and say, right? It's kind of like that behind the screen courage, right? You're not going to see me. You don't know where to find me. This might not even be my real profile picture. What they call it, a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
So, it's like, I'll say what I want to say. I'll do what I want to do. And we've allowed it in these spaces. You can report somebody, you can block them, you can delete them, but they'll show up on somebody else's profile. Mm-hmm. So there aren't really a lot of repercussions for being an online bully. Right.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's a bully. You spoke about the anonymity of it, the lack of seeing people face to face. It's almost like we're talking to content and forgetting that there's a real human behind it.
And I think that's just another layer. So how Shrek said the ogres are like onions. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is a very onion topic because there are a lot of layers to it. I think if you don't know who I am, I feel like I can get away with this and I can say it. But to your point, on the other side of my hurtful comment, though, is a real person. It was a real person's post. It was a real person's problem or content or, work or whatever it was. And you didn't take any of that into consideration because you just wanted to say what you wanted to say. You wanted to, it's like clickbait. Let me put a very dicey comment up because they're going to go crazy over this, right? Or if I post this, everybody's in a comment now. And we live in a society where people are constantly looking for the validation, for the approval, for the affirmation, things that should have been instilled in us and built in us as kids, but just a lot of us didn't get it.
Yeah.
And because we didn't get it, doesn't mean that the need for that goes away. You just seek it in different ways and in other places. And a lot of times it becomes in unhealthy spaces.
And I hate to even say this, but I feel like some people, it's almost like a dopamine hit. Like they get some kind of sick pleasure out of it. Give me that kind of mindset. What causes that?
I mean, I think for every person, it certainly would be different. And I hate making blanketed statements.
Right.
But I will say that the older I get, the more a lot of these old sayings make so much more sense to me. So the one that comes to mind is misery loves company.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm miserable, why not make everybody else miserable?
Right.
Why should you have a good life? You're going to post your perfect family? Did you know your eyelashes are coming off? I mean, it's like they can't allow someone else to be in a space that they feel like they are unable to occupy. You can be happy. You can have a fulfilled life. You just need to heal. You need to do the work to get to where you want to be. But instead of taking that step, it's easier for me to criticize. It's easier for me to tear you down. It's easier for me to be a bully than it is to really stand in a space and face my demons. And that is tough. For so many people, the thought of opening the door to all of those big, bad, hurtful things is tough. So I get it, but I think that has a lot to do with it.
And I think most people who would be listening to this are on the end of receiving the hurtful comments. But if there is someone out there who is thinking and they're like, you know what, I have said some things online that maybe I shouldn't have. What can we say to them to, make them realize this isn't the right way?
One of my friends said one time she was talking to one of her kids and he did something and he thought that, this really bad thing that he did, that she was really going to get him and like lay into him. And she said she looked at him and just said, make a better choice.
Mm.
And she said that was the most powerful moment for her in her parenting, because she didn't have to overreact. She didn't have to, do the extreme discipline. She didn't have to, guilt him and do all these things. She just sincerely looked at him with compassion and grace and said, make a better choice.
Those are strong words.
I was like, mind blown.
Mind blown for sure. Wow.
Make a better choice.
So I want to kind of get into why it is that we allow this one negative comment to truly bother us, because we might post something, and whether it's our work or our opinion or we're asking for help, and it comes from a place of vulnerability. It's tough to kind of put yourself out there no matter what the reason is. And you might post this thing, and whether it's on social media, YouTube, any kind of online community. And it is kind of nice when you start getting these positive comments, people offering suggestions, giving you praise, whatever it may be, positive in nature. And there might be 100 of those. But then you get to that one scroll stopping comment that's negative in nature. And for whatever reason, it's like it erases all of the positive ones. Why is that?
I think that's the complexity of being a human.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I have a better answer for it, because I think you can be the most self-assured. I think you can have high self-esteem and confidence, and you can even be healed and in a good space. But when someone says something to you that doesn't resonate or that hurts your feelings, or you can't undo that feeling. Feelings just happen, right? Like I can't control how I feel, but I can control what I do with those feelings.
And that's the perfect transition of how do we respond to these comments. I mean, I think there are a few options. You can ignore it, you can reply to it, and you can even block it if that's a possibility, depending on the platform. So how do we know when to do each of those?
I think you have to know you, right? I think some people in a space can probably, I'll use a celebrity. We know they get tons of times, right?
Honestly, my heart really goes out to them.
And I don't even know how many of those comments they actually see, or they have like social media handlers and different things like that. But even with that, it's like they have somebody in their corner saying like, hey, look, ignore, come on, we got to get over here. We got to do this. Yeah. So I think one, it's good to just have somebody in your space that can kind of keep you grounded. Like, you're doing great work. You're doing great things. That was 3 comments. That was 5 comments out of 1,000. Like, we're good. Let's keep it moving. But knowing yourself, if you know that you're going to fixate on that and you can only go back to that, or it's going to dysregulate you, you do whatever it takes for you to stay in the space that you want to be in, right? I always tell people, be the thermostat. When I walk in the room, like, I don't walk in a room and then because I'm cold, the room just automatically becomes hot. I have to go to the thermostat and change the temperature of the room. The problem is, a lot of us, we allow our environment to change us, and we're not changing the environment.
Ooh,
right?
good.
So if I'm the thermostat, when I walk into a situation, a room, a comment, whatever it is, and it doesn't sit well with me, I'm not going to allow myself to go in that space. I'm going to do whatever is necessary for me to stay regulated, to stay where I need to be. So if I need to delete it, I'll delete it because I know I'm going to look at it all the time. If I need to block that person so that they don't come in my space again, because it's my space, right? And if I don't want you in it, you don't have to be in it, right? So I will block you. But I think you have to know yourself and be honest, right? Oh, that comment didn't bother me, but you're reading it 7 times a day. You have to be honest. And once you're honest with yourself, figure out from that point, what do I need to do in order for me to keep moving in a productive way?
Let's talk a little bit, though, about like the knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
Because I personally, when I get one of those negative comments, it is my knee-jerk reaction to respond. I feel the need to explain myself, take up for myself. Fortunately, I'm able to control that.
Sure.
I'm able to step back, take a breath, and say, like, does this really need my time? Does this really need my attention? Can we just talk about that a little bit? Like, what are some ways we can stop and take a breath? Like, if you do feel the need to immediately, because if you immediately respond, you're probably going to say something you'll regret.
Definitely. So I love the PPP method.
Okay, what's that?
Which is pause, process, proceed.
Okay.
Right? So anytime something happens, your first instinct, my first instinct is probably going to be, I need to say something. I need to address this. I need to get on top of this right now. How dare they? First of all, right? Like, you've already got half the message typed out, right? But I think if we use the PPP method, it gives you an opportunity to just hold on.
Okay.
Take a beat. Is this person even credible?
And usually
they're not.
No.
Right? Is this person, expert in the subject matter? Have they considered all of my work, or whatever the case may be, right? It's like taking that beat to put things into perspective. What's really happening right here? Is this, really something for me to address? And so after I'm pausing, now I'm processing,
okay,
right? Do I really need to respond? Because really, what is the response going to do? If I respond and then they respond back again in the same manner, now we're like online arguing. Like,
yeah,
I have things to do. Like, do I really have the time to this? And some people say, I got time today, right? But it's like, but what is this? What am I going to gain from this, right? So really just taking a second to think and really work through it and then proceeding. And if you do decide to respond, cool. Just make sure that you respond in a way that is the best representation of who you are.
Absolutely.
Your life is your brand.
Don't lower yourself to a level that's
never
coming into your face.
Right? Because once it's out there, I can never get it back.
Mm-hmm.
I can never get it back. And it's like, do I really want to jeopardize all the years that I put into building my reputation and my brand, or who I am as a mom or a Christian or whatever the case may be? Like, do I really want to jeopardize all that for one comment that I can just delete? So, I'm never going to unsee it, right? But like, I can delete it off my post and move on.
So pause, process, proceed.
You got it.
That's amazing. That is great. Now that we've kind of covered, where it's coming from, how we should react, whether we should respond or delete or just move on, whatever the case may be, let's talk a little bit about how to not dwell on it, because I think no matter how you respond, it's still there.
Yeah.
So what can we do to get over it?
I think first you have to allow yourself to feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so recently I got a negative something. I won't put it all out there, but
I couldn't even say something negative about
something they did, and I had the same response.
It happens to all of us, see?
And I was just like, wow. It it definitely caught me off guard. Because I work really hard to create spaces in which people feel safe and seen and heard, and where they can come and really be poured into. And so the comment, I didn't agree with it. Of course, I had context. They didn't write it in context. They wrote it from their perspective,
Okay.
but they didn't share everything. I wasn't legally able to defend myself because I can't comment about someone's experience in that space. So the moral of the story is, it did hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I hurt my feelings
You're
because
human.
and I felt like, we really do try to go above and beyond for everybody that we encounter. And so for someone to openly kind of put something out there that wasn't 100% rooted in truth, that could have been a conversation in the office or whatever. It was hard. And, I couldn't just get over it because it happened.
Yeah.
It happened and it hurt my feelings. I felt like, is this going to be jeopardizing to my brand? I mean, you think through all the things, and I allowed myself the time and the grace to just sit with that. Like, I don't feel like it's fair for anybody to try to rush themselves out of a space of emotions. Like, your emotions are purposeful. You need them.
What can happen, if we don't take the time?
Oh,
to feel
man,
it?
My father-in-law used to say, put it on the shelf, right? So things that we don't deal with, things that we don't address, we don't process, we don't work through, it's like you put it on this shelf, right? Well, cool. It's like, if I have one thing on the shelf, okay. You have your wonderful backdrop. This is beautiful, right? You have a couple of things, but imagine putting like a million things on this table, right?
Yeah.
Eventually it's going to what? It's gonna break. So the more things that we don't address, the more things we don't deal with, the more things that we put on that shelf, eventually that shelf is going to break. And as the young people say, you're going to crash out, right? Like, it's just not going to be good. And it's like, why jeopardize my mental health and my well-being when really I could just deal with it? So there's nothing I'm going to be able to do to convince somebody that wasn't their experience. That's how you lived it. All I can do is take into consideration what was said, make modifications where I can, where necessary, and move on, right?
Yeah. I think that's actually a great point, because we get this criticism, and again, the knee-jerk reaction is they're wrong. I think there are times, though, when even though it's said in a nasty way and can be hurtful, sometimes we do need to look at it and say, is there something that I can do different here?
What can I take away from this?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not always that I can do something better. Maybe the takeaway is me being perfected in my responses and in my self-control because I didn't respond, right? Like, so it isn't always, sometimes it will be, I need to look at myself, be introspective, and figure out if what was said has some truth to it and what I can do about that. But sometimes people are just saying things that are just, off the wall, right? And it's like, but even in that, it's an opportunity for me to grow because I didn't always say add the fourth P, which is pop off. I didn't do that. Okay. Don't add the fourth P, but it does exist.
Keep it to 3.
Keep it to 3. But it gives me an opportunity to grow in self-control and in discipline and in grace. The same grace that at one point in my life, I needed somebody to extend to me because maybe I wasn't the kindest or I didn't consider my words before I said them. So we've all been in that space where we've not always been the best person and we may have hurt somebody else. So people have given us grace. Now we get the opportunity to give that grace to others.
I love that. Another thing when it comes to dwelling on this, and I feel like I see this a lot in the photography and even entrepreneurial space, is sometimes it makes us want to shrink ourselves and play small.
Yeah.
So I think that's another hurdle to kind of try to get over here when someone is bashing your work or making you feel stupid for even asking a question. It makes you kind of go back into yourself and might make you nervous to do amazing things in the future that you're capable of. So how do we get past that?
I could spend the whole hour on this.
That's fine. Let's do it.
We won't, but I mean, there's just so many things that come to mind. I think the first thing I'll say is I heard someone say one time, like, your existence, just the fact that you are here, like you showed up on this planet to solve a problem. Like the world needed a you. The world needed a Kathleen, right? Like you showed up on the planet to do something that nobody else could fulfill. And like, yeah, there's tons of people doing podcasts and photography, but there's only one you, and you showed up on this planet to do what only you can do. So that's rule number one. Don't shrink, because can't nobody do what you're doing, right? Like, I don't have a prettier way of saying it, but it's like, there is only one you, and you showed up to do what you're doing. So never play it small, because the world needs you, and they need you to give it all you got, because it was waiting for you, right? The second thing is, people are going to people.
Yeah.
Like, you're never going to be able to control what somebody else thinks, says, does, right? Like, you can only control you. So just keep that in mind. Like, someone's always, the same people that complain about the rain are the same people that complain about the sunshine. Like, you can't please everybody, and you won't. And the sooner that you buy into that, the sooner that you adopt that and let it resonate in your heart, the happier you'll be, because you'll understand that I will be something so special to some people, my people, and to others, I won't. And that's okay.
That's a beautiful mindset. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone put it that way. So thank you for that. There is only one you. And,
Yeah. And the world needs you. They don't need a copycat of somebody else.
Yeah.
They need you to show up, and show up fully. So do the work on you, and show up in your space as the best version of you.
And don't let some guy in his mom's basement hiding behind his keyboard keep you from, I'm not saying.
Absolutely not. And I'll have this was something that was really good. I don't know if we're allowed to, like, specifically reference things by name.
Yeah,
I got
right.
I'll be in trouble. But the book, The Four Agreements, is really an amazing book. It's a super small read, very easy. And it's basically a contract that you make to yourself, that you agree to do these 4 things. And if you do these 4 things, it will really change the way you experience the world. And the one that I love so much, that probably resonated with me the most, was, it's not personal.
Ooh, okay.
Making an agreement with myself that I understand that what you do is not personal. So I'm not going to personalize, internalize anything that somebody else does, because it's not personal. How you are behaving, how you think, even how you treat me, is not about me. It's more of a reflection of you.
That is so true. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Man, it took so much weight off of me, because here I am bending over backwards, going the extra mile, trying to make Kathleen like me. Please sit at my table. You know, like we're back in high school. And really, how you're acting doesn't have anything to do with me. That's everything to do with you and where you are in your life's journey. Are you healed? Are you content? Are you, it has everything to do with you and nothing to do with me. I'm just a casualty of war, right? Like, I'm just something that, collateral damage. You have all of these things going on in your life and internally, and I just so happen to come in your path, and I caught some of that. But it didn't have anything to do with me. It's not personal. And when you can realize that these comments, the stares, because at some point we all have to be in the real world too, right?
Right.
But all of these things, it's not personal. It's a reflection of that person.
So once we're in the space where we're trying not to dwell on it, trying to get past it, you say, we should just move forward.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So we talked about, first, I have to really be honest and acknowledge my feelings, right? Like, how is this impacting me? What am I feeling, right? And being honest about that. And I think after we are able to sit in that space, I came to this epiphany over the weekend in a situation where I was dealing with some really big feelings. And I realized that the longer, and this was in a physical space, the longer that I was actually in that space, the more those feelings just kind of came over me. Mm-hmm. So, and it was sadness. And I was just so sad. I went past my dad's house, and he's no longer here. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting out in front of his house. And I drove by because I wanted to see it. I hadn't seen it in forever. Yeah. And it was like, the longer I sat there, I just was so sad. And I was like, this is terrible. And I'm crying and all the things. And I just felt like this really overwhelming sense of just drive.
Just drive.
And so I was like, fighting it, no, part of me wanted to stay here and just, I want to pull in the driveway and weep, all these things. And I just felt it again, just drive. And when I drove away from the house, it started to lift off of me. Yeah. It really, I felt the sadness, lifting off of me, and I started to feel better. And I know this is not an episode about grief, but that concept has stuck with me, that sometimes in our life, we park the car and we sit in it. And sometimes the remedy is just as simple as just try it.
Just try.
Just try it. Making the choice that I'm going to move forward. Not saying don't acknowledge what has happened. Not saying that they are excused from their, poor behavior or, crass behavior. Not even saying like don't process it, but don't sit in it. Don't give it the power and the ability to overtake you. No, I'm not going to stay in that space. That did hurt. I did not like that comment, but I'm going to move forward.
I think that the tough part about that is a lot of us are reading these comments late at night.
Yeah.
And, the day is done. We've settled in. So, would you advise just not to read them late at night? How do we handle this?
I think it's easy to say like, okay, guys, here are the top 3 rules. Like,
Easier said than
we can
done.
say like, don't do this or don't do that. But ultimately, I love individualized care.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really big on find what works for you.
Okay.
Right? I can read your comment and sleep peacefully. I'm going to go to bed because what I'm not going to do is look like a dead squirrel tomorrow because we're having a bad day and you want to comment on my post. Right? So for me, I don't think it would matter, but for somebody else, it might. So again, this goes back to being honest and knowing yourself. If you know that there's a possibility since you posted something, somebody might get out there and that will wreck up your whole night. Don't read it at night, right? Read it in the morning after you've had your coffee or done your meditation or whatever. Or don't read it.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't put up a post that is specifically designed for either content engagement or soliciting advice, or I'm doing like some market research, so I kind of need to know what people are saying. Like, it doesn't really matter if you commented on it or not.
Yeah.
Because what was the intention behind the post? Did I put the post up because I really, really, really need your comment? So I can, like, you know what I mean? And I think that, again, I'm very big on like intrinsic work. What is happening within me and how am I governing that? You don't control my life. Like, I have to live this life. Your comments aside, your, thoughts of me, I have to live this life. I'm in charge of stewarding this life, right? And so I can't be so tied up in what people say and think of me. Now, listen, I'm a reformed people pleaser, okay?
That was what my last episode was about, actually.
So I totally get it. But I think, you have to get to a point where you understand that you've been given this life and you are responsible for an ROI. You're responsible for giving something back to this earth because you had this life to live. And when I think about the magnitude of that, like, I was put here to solve a problem. I was put here to do something. I really don't have time to dwell on things that don't push me into my purpose, that don't propel me into what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love that. And I feel like this whole conversation, you've just helped us all to realize like how tiny these comments are. Like, they seem so big and impactful, but really they just don't mean much.
You don't. And, we were growing up, we always heard sticks and stones will break your bones. But also words really do hurt though, right? They do. And I think it may have been a more appropriate lesson to teach children that words do hurt, but they don't have to consume you. They don't have to have power over you. I'm never going to be able to control what you do. And I'm also not going to be able to control the feelings that come because feelings just come. But what I can always do 100% of the time is control how I respond.
Mm-hmm. I think that's 100% of the important part.
Yeah, 100% of the time. And when you, like you said, when you think about it in the grand scheme of my life and all the things that I have going on, how much does this comment really matter?
Yeah, especially if it's from someone you really don't even know.
And I tell my boys all the time, I have 2 boys there. I have 3 boys, but 2 are closer in age. And they just bicker. So they're far apart enough that they are not like besties, but close enough that they're growing up together. And I tell them all the time, boys, is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? I mean, I probably say that a million times a day. Yes. Like, if it's not kind, if it's not necessary, if it's not true, or if you can't say yes to all 3, don't say it. So how we can use that when looking at these comments is, was the comment kind? Was it necessary? Was it true? And if the answer isn't yes to all 3, throw it out. Doesn't even matter.
Yes, that's the best advice I think I've ever heard.
Yeah, if it's not kind, necessary, and true, and it has to be all 3, right? doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell my boys, if it's not
It's almost like it strips the power away from that person.
Yes, because really, like, what are you adding to my life? Like, are you paying my mortgage?
No.
Helping me, edit my content? Are you like, what are you doing for me that really requires me to give you that much of my time, effort, and attention?
Right. And I will say, like, from the photography aspect, any negative comment I've ever received has never been from someone who is paying for a photo shoot. It's never from someone who has any kind of power over me.
Yeah. And listen, your people are your people. That was probably the hardest lesson for me to really grasp. Because I would think like, I'm really cool with Kathleen. So like, Kathleen's friends will really love me too. And then when they don't, I'm like, why? Like, I'm just, but that's not how, right? But you have people that love you. You are my exclusive. Like, I love you. And like, so for me, it's like, when you find people who are your people, those are your people. I already know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right? Like, and that's
You're my cup of tea.
Thank you. Right? But it doesn't mean that I'm not something to someone. It doesn't mean that I'm not making impact or doing great work and, producing quality images and all these things, right? Whatever your space is, it just means that person is not your person.
Absolutely.
Okay. Because like really, if everybody was your person, do you know how exhausting that would be?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Like billions of people were your, like, could you imagine the weight of like having to be something to billions of people? Okay, these 3 kids and my job is enough. Like, so the thought of like billions. So like just taking like comfort in that alone is that like, if you really were, something or everything to everyone, that would be so exhausting.
Yeah. It kind of goes to the concept of staying in your lane. Like, make your own people happy, let them make you happy. Don't let the rest of the world come crashing down on that.
Yeah. And we can't support the weight of the world. That's not our job, right? What you can do is show up on this planet, what you showed up to do, and do it well. And that's going to make more impact than pleasing everybody.
You've said so many amazing things today. Like, I just want to take it all in like a sponge. And I know this episode is going to be so impactful for so many people. And gosh, the advice you've given, there's so much. But if you could like just leave with one main idea that you really want to get across today. I know, so tough.
I know.
Like, what do you really want people to walk away from this understanding and knowing?
It's super tough to just pick one thing. But for me, I always say all roads lead to trauma. So I have to leave with something in that vein. And it's just make sure that you're okay. Right? I tell people scars don't hurt. If I had a scar and somebody touched it, it wouldn't really bother me because it's healed. But wounds hurt. And so if you touch a wound, you wince or right? Because it hurts. Make sure that you've done all the work in your life to close wounds, and some things wouldn't even bother you, right? And I think sometimes things bother us because they take us back to different places, or they rehash certain things, or, my mom was always critical of my work and, or whatever. And I think it's important to show up in whatever space you're in as the best version of yourself. And a large part of that is really closing those old wounds, right? Knowing that you are healed and healed for real in such a way that my new things don't bother me because I'm over that. And I've been through far worse, right? Like, seriously, a negative comment is not the worst thing that you've been through in your life, right?
I think it's good to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah, so it's like making sure that you're in a great place where you have done the work to build up your self-confidence, where you are self-assured, where you know that you've worked through some things that really have hurt you and can trigger you if you don't take care of those things, right? Like, if I'm not healed, comments like this could trigger me and could send me into a spiral. Now, is that the case with everybody? No. But I do think that so many of us, we haven't been given the luxury or the opportunity, is what it feels like it's a luxury to heal. It's not, but that's what it feels like because we carry so much and have so much to do. It's not. You deserve to be healed and you deserve to be well and whole. And so I encourage everybody, do the work. Like, if you think therapy makes you crazy, fine, get a coach, like whatever. But like, find the supports that you need to do that internal work so that you aren't triggered by every little thing and that you are showing up as the best version of you.
You're amazing. I wish we all had a Nakia just like on our shoulder at all the time. Thank you so much for being here, for having this conversation. I do think it's so important, and I know you do so much incredible work out there. So thank you for taking the time to spend with me today. How can people reach out to you if they need to get in touch with you for anything?
I'm on social. I'm old school, so I'm on Facebook.
Same.
I have IG, but definitely Facebook is a better space to follow me. You can look for me, Nakia Austin, or you can follow the Healing House, which is where I do a lot of my work, but definitely connect with me. I also have a website, nakiaaustin.com. You can check me out there, find more ways to connect with me. But even if you don't connect with me, connect with somebody, because you deserve to be the best version of you.
Absolutely. And I will leave the links to all of those in the show notes. So if you need Nakia, I'm sure she'd be happy to help you out. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will see you next week. Thanks for listening to Off the Memory Card. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like some more support on your photography journey, head over to usethatcamera.com.